Hey, what's up guys? John here. I love America, I love business, and of course I love capitalism. And with capitalism, it might not be the perfect scenario in some people's eyes, but it's a hell of a lot better than everything else in almost every other country that's ever been tried. What we can see happening right now, if Joe Biden gets his way, is going to be the end of America. He wants something called price controls. He wants to control the price of gasoline and food. What this would do is break the backs of almost the entire middle class. Because how can the middle class compete when you have big corporations, the essential stores out there that are controlling their own distribution, their own shipping? Their prices are much lower. What Joe Biden would essentially do is end the middle class and unfortunately make the supply chain issue so much worse. I saw an article by CNN and then recently another article by Forbes. They were released the same hour of the same day, talking about price controls, saying, oh, this wouldn't be so bad. This would actually, it's been done before. It's not that big of a deal. They want to normalize it because they're getting ready, I believe, to do this to fight and combat inflation. Because this inflation problem is becoming a huge issue. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything that you need to know step by step. If you could, please hit that like button. If you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate people on what's really going on. Let's begin. So how bad is this inflation problem? Well, inflation surges at its fastest rate in decades. And just how bad is this? Well, the rise of inflation was driven by significantly higher prices on a number of necessary consumer expenses. Energy costs up 29.3%. While used cars up almost 40%, the cost of food up 6.3%, and they're saying that rent and mortgage payments increased 4.1% year over year. That is a very low figure. Other estimates are around 18%. So that's essentially what they're saying the problem is. Well, this is what they think the solution is. CNN, should the government control the price of food and gasoline? People are paying a lot more for food, gas, cars, and services, and inflation isn't over yet as the pandemic continues to distort the economy. So should governments consider setting the price of essential goods? It's been done before, typically during times of crisis, but for most mainstream economists, the answer to this question is resounding no. Limiting how much companies can charge will distort markets, they argue, causing shortages and exacerbating supply chain problems while only temporarily reducing inflation. What they're doing here is they're opening the discussion. They're bringing this out, they're opening the discussion, they're having some economists come out and say, no, this would be a horrible idea. They'll have other economists that will come out and have a different answer, different alternative. And then before you know it, this is where they push us. Forbes, will Biden enforce price controls to fight inflation? Fox News, news outlets continue to push price controls as an unorthodox method to combat inflation. Washington Post claims Biden should consider using price controls. So you have CNN, Washington Post, Forbes, and Fox all talking about this. While President Biden continues to deal with economic issues like inflation and supply chain chaos, many mainstream media outlets have an unorthodox suggestion to help everyday Americans. Last week, the Washington Post spoke with several economists who listed their ideas on how to solve economic issues facing the nation. One idea listed for the White House to combat inflation was price controls. So the White House is getting behind this price control narrative. The idea was suggested to the Roosevelt Institute Todd Tucker, in which he argued that the time may be at hand to destigmatize concerns over price controls. To ensure that the wealthy do not bid up the price for essential items, the time is now to begin destigmatizing greater democratic controls over price levels. Price controls have been ridiculed by conservatives and liberals alike as a solution to combat inflation. Economists have criticized efforts to portray price controls as anything other than a failure, but plenty of news pieces continue to push them following Biden's first year in office. In December of last year, The Guardian published an article by Isabella Weber, an assistant professor of economics at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, that read, "We have a powerful weapon to fight inflation, price controls. It's time we consider using it. We need a systematic consideration of strategic price controls as a tool in the broader policy to the enormous macroeconomic challenges instead of pretending there is no alternative behind wait-and-see atrocity. New York Magazine followed The Guardian with its own defense of price controls as well as Weber's piece. Contributing writer Eric Levitt's article, Who's Afraid of Price Controls, defended Weber's take on price controls and claimed that the dismissal of price controls came only from custom rather than reason. Yet, as already observed, our existing approach to managing inflation has plenty of hazards of its own. The widespread tendency to dismiss price controls of any kind as economic illiterate while defending interest rate hikes as economically wise reflects customs more than reason. It was not uncommon for local stores to charge exorbitant, under-the-counter prices to sell shoddy merchandise at regular prices or simply close down and reopen with new higher prices. Evasion was not difficult. Candy makers reduced the weight of each bar. Black markets flourished while retailers adopted tie-ins, selling a desired product only with the additional purchase of something unwanted. Oddly, today's recommendation of World War II style wages and price controls ignores the most serious test that occurred in post-war Europe, where West Germany's devastated economy, having lost 2/3 of industrial production and 20% of housing units, was subject to strict price regulations by the US, UK, and French occupation authorities. Hunger and homelessness were everywhere, and the average calorie intake in 1948 was just 1,300 per day. Allied experts sought to protect Germany from further catastrophe because shortages were endemic. City workers routinely spent weekends scouring the countryside looking for bread and milk, and emergency farm-to-table movement letting prices go to market levels it was thought would worsen the crisis. This led to the most remarkable experiments ever conducted in economic policy. An obscure academic, Ludwig Erhard, was appointed chief German administrator when his predecessor, mocking life-saving US food aid, chicken feed, was fired. Erhard, a liberal obscure until then, having been canceled by the Nazis looking to improve the flow of goods to market, realizing price controls would be the first step. He reasoned, yet the occupation government made such changes impossible. All attempts at melding matters were frustrated. He wrote, not only by prevailing conditions of devastation, exhaustion, disruption, but also supported experts in and outside Germany clinging tenaciously to the reliance on controls. The people worked doggedly, tormented by hunger and exasperated by zonal restrictions, corruption, and the black market. If we see this even in the smallest degree, where Biden or anyone comes out and says, this is what you're allowed to charge, we know that we are in big trouble, because even if it's just the tiniest increment in the beginning, it will only continue to progress. If it starts with food, it will turn to gasoline, it could turn to rent, it could turn to a variety of other things. Milton Friedman came out and said years ago that there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. And I believe that if we allow any type of price controls, we will see a flourishing black market. We will see supply chain problems like we've never seen before. We will see a whole new restructuring of capitalism and the way that we do business in America. And I think we're going to see a much angrier America as we see people losing their livelihoods, their homes, their businesses, all under the guide of helping, that they want to help. They want to get inflation under control. Meanwhile, they're essentially being penny smart, dollar stupid. And what this is ultimately going to do is going to be, unfortunately, America's going to be unrecognizable at the end of it. Drop your comments below. Do you think that they're going to pursue price controls with gasoline and food? And do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea? Drop your comments below. We'll have a discussion about it. Consider subbing on this channel as well as my personal channel. And if you like short form content, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, and I'll catch you guys later. YouTube Success Blueprint. If you've enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into growing your YouTube channel and create passive income as a YouTuber, check out my YouTube Success Blueprint by clicking the link in the description below this video. One of the richest men in the world, Warren Buffett, once said, opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out a bucket, not a thimble. I get the feeling that many men and women today are using thimbles instead of buckets. The truth is that we're in a huge wave of opportunity. I'm not suggesting that the current situation hasn't caused any financial damage to people's lives, because it certainly has. You may be one of those who have been fired, transferred, demoted, or had his assets repossessed. When looking up my own channel statistics on Social Blade, you can see that I was able to grow from a mere 11,000 subscribers to 120,000 subscribers in just 15 months. You could do this too, and I want to show you how. My YouTube Success Blueprint is a complete A to Z guide that teaches you the necessary steps in order to get your channel up and running within a few days. YouTube is an explosive avenue where you can earn thousands of dollars based simply on uploading videos and monetizing them for views. Think of a bridge with a toll on it. That is a video that's monetized on YouTube. It also serves a great channel to capture leads and potential new clients. Personally, I'm receiving roughly $30,000 per month in video views through Google AdSense just by people watching my videos on YouTube with 120,000 subscribers. This number is likely only going to grow as more and more people become accustomed to using YouTube. We have roughly 2.3 billion monthly users on YouTube, and I could see that number hit 3 billion in no time. To learn more about growing your YouTube channel and creating passive income as a YouTuber, register for my YouTube Success Blueprint by clicking the link in the description below this video.